Hello, I'm Tony, and welcome to the Tony Shap Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This week, I have Ben with us. I'm super pumped to have him on. I can't wait for him to share with you his story, how he got started, and where he is, and his background. With all that said, Ben, I wanted to personally say welcome to the Tony Shap Show.
Great. Before we start, I want to thank you, Tony. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you very much. Let's dive right into it. Let's start with the one word open, my famous one word open. So if you could use one word to describe how you're feeling in this moment as a person, that would be great.
In this moment, I got to say that one word would be optimistic.
Optimistic.
I do feel like today, I'm taking things for granted a little bit, but I'm in San Francisco, clear sky, very beautiful. And a few weeks ago, we just sort of stopped the shelter in place. So we're able to actually walk outdoors. I'm just feeling overall good about 2021.
Beautiful. Let's talk about your firm. So let's talk about how, a little bit about your background, a little bit about your history, and then also how you got here today and where you're going. That would be great. So our listeners could get a little taste on who you are and what you're all about.
Sure, yeah. So I can go with two things here. One on the firm itself, Seacoast Capital, and then I can go a little bit more on the personal side on why I joined. First, Seacoast Capital, really quick overview. We started in 1994, so we've been in the business for over 26 years. We are non-control growth equity, private equity firm. The firm got really started with a couple guys and a dog, and that philosophy hasn't really changed since now. We actually have an office dog that we have on our website, Hugo. So the idea here is we are in the lower middle market business. A lot of really cool entrepreneurs, they have built incredible businesses, and a lot of those businesses are not necessarily sort of, when you go into thinking about investors, capital, you probably think about VC, or you think about PE, and VC is really purely based on equity. PE, a lot of those times, it's a control sort of play where you buy out the business and the owners get a nice paycheck and they do something else. What we do is a little different. We're not a VC or a traditional PE buyout shop. We're non-control. So we call ourselves consultants with capital. We come in, we work alongside business owners and CEOs and help them to get to the next level. And the way we do things is slightly different in the sense we're not purely equity. We do have a flexible structure. And so we do a current pay portion, so on the debt side, but we also are flexible on either going into a common or preferred a way that works for the company, depending on their use cases. Most of them are really using that money to grow their business. So we'd come alongside, help them to get to the next level by providing some capital. Again, the capital is a commodity, the expertise and what we value overall, everything else is the actual value add. So that's a little bit of overview of Seacoast Capital. We're, by the way, on our fourth fund, doing quite well. Me personally, I actually started off my career as an engineer. I've always been curious, like to do and build things. Started out as a computer engineer at IBM, where I was fortunately enough to work with a lot of really smart people in emerging solutions. We did cloud computing, big data, and a few other things that's pretty cool. And I also had the opportunity to work at Google on their cloud team for a little while, where I really found technology to be really cool. But one thing that is even more to what I want to do is making that impact through technology. And what I found is a lot of the companies in the lower middle market, they are, even especially now, leveraging technology, whether you're a traditional technology company using technology, or you're a traditional company that didn't really think about technology before, but now is using technology. For example, a distribution company using e-commerce as another channel to grow. So using that technology aspect to help lower middle markets to grow, to get to that next level, is actually something that I resonate a lot with. And so I joined Seacoast Capital about 4 years ago and have been with them ever since. Really enjoy working with the team.
That's really awesome. It sounds like a pretty exciting firm to work at, and also your background is amazing too. I mean, we've all heard of that little company called Google, so
That's
it's
a
really
little
cool.
company.
Yeah, totally. Let's move on to thanks for sharing that with us. So let's move on to a recent win. So if you can share with the audience something that you consider a W, so to speak, that you put on the board in business context that's near and dear to your heart, so to speak. And also, Ben, what did you learn from it?
Yeah. So the one takeaway from me out of our wins and losses here is when it comes down to it, it's really people. Really recently in 2020, I know COVID has hit many different businesses really hard, for us too in our portfolio companies. But there's a silver lining. I think I would take this as a win where, um, one of our portfolio company, last mile logistics company, unfortunately, they were hit, pretty hard in their LA office. A lot of the folks tested positive for COVID, and they had to unfortunately shut a few of the operations down. Um, and they were working with OSHA to make sure everything's good. Luckily, they had really safe, protocols and procedures, but they have to have a massive test where they have to essentially test all the drivers, uh, and that's a pretty large expense, and it's really hard and difficult, at that time to get everyone tested. But one of our other companies on the East Coast who has developed a rapid testing protocol, that they're able to test all of their workers for really cheap and have really fast results. So the two CEOs, because they met last year or 2 years ago at our annual LP conference, they were able to build that relationship with each other, even though they work in two very different industries. So the other CEO from our East Coast actually reached out and actually was able to help our West Coast office in the last mile logistics company and help them to get all of their employees rapidly tested and help them to overcome this big hurdle. So despite of the COVID, situation, because people came together, even in different industries, that were able to actually have a overall positive outcome. So the lesson here is really people. It is the core of what we do. It is the number one thing that we look for is the strength of the people that we work with.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us as
Yeah.
well. Let's talk on the other side of that. So, what's a recent, not so much of a win, and what did you learn from it? So our audience could also uh, have that takeaway as well.
Yeah, man. Oh, there are so many, but if can only say one, I would say, it has to do with technology, specifically cyber. Recently, one of our portfolio company was actually ransomed. One of the
Wow.
hackers actually got a hold of our entire ordering system and locked everything down and encrypted everything, to the point where we can't process any of our transactions. And the CEO had to actually get on the phone to figure this out. And it took quite a while. Luckily, we were able to overcome that hurdle. But the scary thing is that we had a decent, sort of protocol, but it was not good enough. Where the hacker was able to actually even get into our backups and lock up our backups, and that was quite a bit of a disruption. And this is not the first attack. This is one of the first attack of that scale of that potential disruption. So I would say cybersecurity is a big thing. There are a lot of, new interesting tools to help, small and medium business to protect themselves. One of them is cyber insurance. I would highly recommend people looking into it. And the other thing is when you have your backup systems, make sure they're not sitting in the physical same location and they're not in the same network, so that in the event that your current file gets compromised, that you have a backup elsewhere that you're able to sort of, as a backup, right, to actually have a, way to continue your operations without disruption.
That's a really great tip. I'm no security expert, but we have people that handle that for us. And but I've never heard that type of. That's a really good tip for it to be off site, which makes sense. You know.
Yeah.
Um, Now, let me ask you another question. When it comes to you guys, interviewing someone that's a good fit for you guys to invest in and to work with and provide consulting and all that good stuff for, what do you typically look for in that person?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I think we ideally spend a lot of our time investing in that relationship. Um, we actually don't typically invest right away. Some of my portfolio companies, when we invested it, we have already spent 3 to 6 months with the management team already. So because we are non-control, we are essentially partners coming in. Couple high level. One, we look for their expertise in that industry. So, for example, if we are to look at a company in the last mile logistics company industry, we would look for the management team's core strength in that industry. What's their background? Did they spend enough time in that area to be able to scale the company to the next level? What are their passions? Doesn't have to be professional passions, but we like to work with people with similar sort of outlook on life, similar culture, people who are um, sort of humble and down to earth, and someone that we really enjoy to work with. Because when it comes down to it, once they become our portfolio company, we become partners. We have weekly conversations and sometimes daily conversations. It's the idea where if one of the management team, or for example the CFO or CEO, had a brilliant idea in the shower on a Sunday, that they're comfortable enough to call one of us and bounce that idea around. So that's the type of people that we're looking for. So there's not a one formula to capture everything, but that's just to have a overall guideline. So culture fit, people, their expertise in their industry.
That's really great that you said that. And when you say culture fit, that's huge. A lot of other firms that come in, the money part and the remarkableness of the person is one thing, but it's got to be a fit, because
Right.
you're becoming partners essentially. And you're talking, and some people are hands off, some people are hands on, some people are, it's a hybrid. But nevertheless, regardless of the how many touches you do, as if it's high or low, it's got to be a good fit. Culturally speaking, both. Yeah, yeah, that's really great that you touched on that. So, and how do you find the companies to invest in typically?
Well, I like to think it's because of my good looks. They look at my LinkedIn profile. They're like, I got to connect with this guy. No, all jokes set aside. When it comes down to it, it also is about the relationships that we build. Um, a lot of our partners who are more senior have built those relationships over a course of a few decades. One of the companies we invested in recently, the CEOs and CFOs, they've known for 20 plus years. So it does come with time, and also comes with sort of the type of people that you surround yourself with. Aside from that, for someone like me who has yet to build that decades of experience, I look for a lot of my connections in some of the conferences that I attend, industry-based specific conferences, and also within my previous professional network, especially in the engineering arena, and also within my schools, in business school, and also my undergrad. There are vast untapped potentials. It's so easy now on social media like LinkedIn that you're able to just connect with people who are you find interesting, and you start a conversation. So I would say, yeah.
Very cool. It's so true what you said. Now, Ben, if you were in my shoes, what's that one question that I should have asked you, but I didn't?
Yeah. So I think again, with the time constraints, I will cover one area, and that is current change or current trends. If we're to invest in companies, again at Seacoast, we are industry agnostic. We look at various different companies in all walks of life, in all sorts of industries, ranging from porta potties to flight simulators, you name it. But one thing that is consistently common across many of our industries and many companies that we're looking into right now is a change in technology, and how that has impact on the businesses, whether it would be as small as just security, or as big as a new strategy for them to grow and scale. And I'll just have sort of one example in that one of our traditional company, they were not on really online before. They've just got into e-commerce, and they were building their presence on Amazon. what they found out was that because they didn't have an online presence on Amazon, someone else actually impersonated their brand. And so when you search for their brand before, it would actually reroute that set of products to someone else's sort of site. So because now they have the e-commerce presence on Amazon, they're able to have their own store page that they're able to protect their brand. So sometimes it's not really even a way to sort of get that growth. Sometimes it's to have that e-commerce presence in this case to be able to defend and help to stabilize your brand in this growing area. So with that, I will pause here.
Excellent. So how could our listeners get to find out more information about this conversation, or if they want to connect with you, or how could they reach out to you?
Yeah, again, I'm always happy to connect with new and interesting people. One of the best ways to find my contact information is at seacoastcapital.com. We have listed all the contact information, including our cell phone numbers on our website. Alternatively, you can reach out to me via my LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is pretty public, so you'll be able to search for it.
Excellent. I'll be sure to put that in the show notes for our listeners
Great.
as well. And here, as we're coming to an end here, if you could sign us off, Ben, with a one-word close, that would be great.
I would say people. People are the most important thing, both personally and professionally. Invest in those relationships. And I am very blessed to have many amazing people in my both professional and personal network.
Excellent. Perfect. Well, there you have it, folks. Ben, thank you so much for your time. It was truly an honor to have you on my show. I can't wait to have you back on here soon. And we started off with optimism. What was the first one? Optimistic. And we finished up with
people.
That's wonderful. What a wild conversation. And I learned a lot. So thank God to the people who are listening to this. Unlike Clubhouse is live. You can't rewind. But luckily, when they listen to this on Spotify or iTunes, they can rewind and listen to all the wonderful tips and experiences that you shared with us. So thank you very much, Ben.
Thanks again, Tony. Happy to be here.
Appreciate it. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed it, and great to have you, and thanks for listening. And don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for the next episode. Till next time, onwards and upwards.